Okay, with me right now is Eunice Davidson, and she's a founding member of the Native American Guardians Association. She's with me today from North Dakota. And back in February, her organization allied with the Italian American One Voice Coalition, the Italian American Alliance, and UNICO National. And a number of other Italian American organizations are working with her. They all share the same mission, which is to protect our heritage, protect our traditions from the cancel culture who wants to censor it out of existence. And so she's with me today to talk about her group and what we can do together to, stop the cancel culture. Mrs. Davidson, what made you begin your organization? What started you to start this group?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but the thing was when my tribal members out here, the University of North Dakota was asking us to have a vote or they would have to retire the Fighting Sioux name. So some of us got together, formed a committee. We decided to do a little survey on our reservation to find out if we had the backing or not to do this. We took it step by step. We didn't know what we were doing. So it's the first time any of us ever done this. We had a really good leader. John Chasky was our spiritual leader, and he led us into the right direction. We took the survey and found out we had overwhelming support to keep the name. So then we talked to one of our tribal members, our tribal leaders, and she told us, we said, do we have to do a petition to get this on the ballot? She said, I would. She said, because I don't think our tribal leader supports this. So we said, okay. So we went out, we did a petition. In 3 days, we had to have 20% of the people who voted in the last election on that petition. And we did it. We got it overwhelmingly within 3 days. People were chasing us down to sign it. So that's how supportive our community was to keep it. So we went ahead, we got it on the ballot. Well, then after we did the petition, back up a little bit, our tribal leader and some of the opposition on our reservation took us to court and said that the petition was invalid. We had 85 signatures that would spoil the petition. And so we had to go to court with them right away. And they tried to do this as close to the day that we had to hand in the petition so it wouldn't be good. Mm-hmm. So anyway, some of the tactics. So anyway, we did go to court. We had the election committee there who looked at all the signatures, and they said there are only 5 of them. They're tribal enrolled members, but they didn't live on the reservation, so they couldn't vote. So the judge that we asked for another judge, we asked for our tribal judge to recuse himself. And he did, and we got another judge involved, and he looked at the petitions, looked over everything, talked to the election committee, and just gave us a signal. It was good. You can go ahead. It's got to go on the ballot by the people. We've always done everything for the people. When we said if that petition, if that support would have failed, we didn't have it, we let it go.
Right. Now this is the University of North Dakota. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And yeah. And they had a I guess a symbol that they utilized was the Fighting Sioux. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. One of the most loved symbols. Most famous
sure.
symbol.
Yeah.
So anyway, so when we had the vote, the day we had the vote, everybody in North Dakota was just, whiting their teeth, especially all the Sioux fans. And when it came out that night that they ended up voting 67% of our people 2-1 to save it. People were just overwhelmed. So when we did that, our sister tribe, Standing Rock, was supposed to vote, and they handed in a petition just similar to ours, but with more signatures. Their tribal leader wouldn't allow them. He threw the petition out.
Oh, really?
Even though it was good, they couldn't vote. He would not allow a vote. And he told us that in front of a meeting we were at with all these college presidents. And he come out and told us, he said, you can have 110% of the signatures on this, he said, and I will roll it up, throw it in the garbage. And that's what he did. He did not let the people of Standing Rock have a vote on it. And they did everything they could. So anyway, eventually we ended up taking the NCAA to court and district court. The judge said we had no standing.
No standing. Yeah.
No standing. We were the focal point of it, but we had no standing.
Yeah, they said that a lot.
Yeah.
This is same thing is happening to us with regards to Columbus. They'll say we have no standing. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So then we went to the district court. We went to the federal court. They said we had no standing. We went to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. They said we had no standing. and we went to the Supreme Court, and they all said we had no standing.
How about that? Amazing. Amazing. You're Native Americans, but you have no standing about Sioux tribe, right? You belong to the Sioux tribe, right?
Yeah,
but you have no standing about how your Sioux, the fighting Sioux, is going to be shown.
And it was the opposition. It was the education system that did it to us. The North Dakota State Board of Higher Ed, they're the ones that retired the name in 2012. I was so upset because when that was going on, people were messaging us and calling us and saying, what can we do to help? We said, well, we're doing everything we can in the court system, everything we can, but we're being denied left and right. And they started kind of getting mad at some of the Sioux Indians because they were against it, just a very few. And they started in bar fights, and they started online name calling at us. And I felt so strongly that we had showed everybody, but people weren't getting the message. So I decided to write a book. I wrote a book. It's called Aren't We Sioux Enough? You can get it on Amazon.
Okay, sure.
The first day it came out, it sold out. I don't know how many copies, over 1,000 copies or something like that. But people start getting the message when they read this book. And that's why today we have a hockey game, and the fans still holler Sioux. They still call them Sioux, the fighting Sioux.
Right.
I think I'm on, I don't know how many Facebook pages and Twitter accounts that people are Sioux fans, and they'll never give up because of my book.
No, the Sioux tribe is most famous for Sitting Bull, and at least the popular echelon of it all, the Sitting Bull and Little Bighorn and his defeat of Custer and everything.
Well, Sitting Bull is not our chief here. We are Dakota.
Okay. You're Dakota.
He was Dakota too, but he was a Standing Rock. We have Teowash. Some of these are my ancestors. Teowash, Chief Wanata. He was very famous. We have Hihakanajan. We have Inkpaduta. Inkpaduta and Sitting Bull were together in the Wounded Knee. Oh, not Wounded Knee. Little Bighorn.
Little Bighorn, right.
So, a lot of people don't know our history. They just don't. And that's why our motto is to educate, not eradicate. Not only do we want to educate about why we need to keep these names, but we want to educate about our people. A lot of people think, oh, you're an Indian tribe, you're all the same. We're not.
Yeah,
we have very different customs, just like any other culture.
That's
the
right.
Irish, So anyway, so that's what started the NAGA. When my book came out, this guy by the name of Andrew Bilodeau in Washington, D.C. found it. And at the time, the Washington Redskins got a hold of me, the team, and I talked to one of their executives, and he actually sold my book there because it really lined up with what they were doing with them. So we kind of worked with them. We did some videos and sent it to them from our tribe, tribal members supporting the Redskin name. And, a lot of our tribal members back then, they were very upset when they got rid of the Sioux name. They said, why do we even have a vote? Nobody's going to listen to us.
Yeah, right.
We said, why, and then when they started on the Redskins name, a lot of our people out on my reservation will say, well, what's wrong with the Redskin name? And I said, you have very few Indians in this country that are being used by the education system. We saw it here. And they latch onto these people. For whatever reason, they don't like white people. They still blame them for everything, today.
Right.
And I said, that's what's going on. The educators are using them. We're seeing it all over the country. And their board of educations, they get just enough lined up on there to change the name, the Indian theme, name, and image. And so anyway, we all knew Redskin was never a derogatory term, never. We called ourselves Skins. We call ourselves Redskins. It's derivative from Redskins too. So anyway, and our ancestors call themselves Redskins. We found the history of when they talked with the presidents. A couple of them talked to the presidents, chiefs. They told them, they said, "We are a Redskin. You're a white skin." And they said, "And if you're black skin," they did it just to to show the difference in color of our skin. That's the only language how they knew. Mm-hmm. If they used it, why is it derogatory now?
Right.
So anyway, so we started that back in 2014. We started growing little by little. There were only 3 of us. Andre Bilodeau, and Mark Yellowhorse. He's a Navajo. And people started contacting us Indians all over the nation, when they saw us on Facebook, we were talking to these white school communities who were Native themed, and they didn't want to lose their name and image. So, you know, we started seeing that over the nation. We start seeing some of the, might as well call it what it is, the lies that were put out about us.
Yeah, yeah.
Were not true.
Yeah.
So we started fighting back, and we started going into some of these facts, these polls. We found these polls that were done for over 2 decades about the Redskins. 80 to 90% of American Indians that they called, there were scientific polls done by pollsters. The Harrisburg, I think it was the Harris poll, the Annenberg, and they did these like Sports Illustrated. What was some of the other Washington Post? They hired these guys to do. Yeah. They hired them to do their polls, and they found out they're the ones that found this out. So we use that's a fact. Those are facts.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so that's how we started with NAGA, Native American Guardians. In 2017, we had people all over the nation that kind of wanted to donate to us, but we were not a nonprofit.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So in 2017, we got nonprofit status, and we've been growing since then. And we have at one time we had over 600,000 followers on our page.
Wow, that's big. Yeah, sure.
We have, but now we have a lot of people who have signed up to do volunteer to help us. So we're quite known all over the country.
Yeah.
And one of your guys got a hold of us through an email, and Tony Henson, our executive director, started talking to him, Tommy Damagella.
Yeah, Damagella, right. Mm-hmm.
And he brought it to our attention, and we brought it to our leadership team, and we talked about it. And some of us Indians on reservations were a little bit apprehensive about this, because none of us knew anything about Columbus. We knew we took the day off. We had a holiday. We liked that. We heard about his ships. We knew about that, but we didn't know anything. So we weren't sure if we should do this or not. So Tommy, when we started talking to Tommy, he was giving us information. At one time he called me, and I told him, I said, you know, Tommy, I said, I've been asked by the media what I think about Indigenous Day. And I said, first of all, I had to ask myself, what is Indigenous? That, you know, I know what that means. You're Indigenous, born to these lands or whatever, you know, and I definitely am that.
Right.
But I am also a Dakota Sioux. And to start calling myself Indigenous, I'm going to be under the umbrella with South American, North American, and Canadian Indians.
Right.
I'm going to lose my identity.
That's right. Yeah.
And I thought, no, I don't want to be called Indigenous.
Right.
So I don't agree with that part of it. I don't agree with all of it, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we started talking between us, and Tommy introduced me to Rafael Ortiz. And he said, can I give you his number and have him call you? I said, absolutely. Because Tommy kind of started telling me about Columbus. And I was like, really? I said, oh, I didn't know that. And they sent us the journals, and I kind of read through them, and didn't quite understand everything. So I told Tommy, I said, when I've been interviewed, I've been asked about that. And I tell him, I don't know enough about it to make any kind of an opinion about this. I've been told that we're not supposed to like them, but I'm not one of those people. If somebody tells me not to like somebody, I'm not just going to like them because I'm being told.
Right.
I got to find out my own self.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, when he did introduce me to Rafael told me about his books, and he said, Eunice, I would read The Hero. He said, I put so much research into that, and everything is factual in that book. So I ordered the book, and I start reading it, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I started to see the parallel between our culture and the Italians.
Interesting, yeah.
And I start talking to our group, and I start telling them, you know what this movement is doing? I said, they're starting to trying to pit two cultures against each other. Right. To cause division, to cause hate.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And the more I thought about it, the more I read Raphael's book, the madder I got, because I saw this movement had to take down the smallest minority. They have to take us down because we are this country.
Right.
This is our country. Right. I have dual citizenship. I am an American Indian with citizenship, but tribal and federally enrolled recognized tribal member. Okay, I've got federally recognized status for the American Indian. 1924, when they gave us American citizenship, I became an American citizen.
Interesting.
So I've got dual citizenship. We have a lot more than a lot of people recognize, and we are the only ones to have that in our own country.
How about that? It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. So you're born and raised on a reservation, right? You were born.
Yeah, I was born. My mom and dad were put back in the location, and I was born in Fargo, but I grew up on the reservation. It was my home. Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
I see. Do
And
you still live
tribally,
on the reservation, or do you still live on the reservation, or?
I don't know. When me and my husband got married 55 years ago, we couldn't get a home on the reservation. There was nothing. So we
Right,
moved
right.
out. We live about 7 miles from the reservation, but I'm still totally involved, engulfed in many of the things that go on out
Of
there.
course. Yeah. Of course. Of course.
So anyway, when I started reading Raphael's book, I start really seeing how, okay, they're going to go after them like they did us. Right now, at the stage that we're at, they have passed, I think it's 4 or 5 states have passed actual laws that they ban our Native American names and images. Nobody can use them.
Nobody can use the Native American name. They have to use indigenous people. Is that right? I see. Right? Yeah.
You can't use an Indian name or image for your school. They passed that. That's the law. And I said, that is unconstitutional. That is discrimination.
Right. Right.
Why did they do that?
Right.
So anyway, when they did that, and then just recently they started passing, Biden passed this law. I can't remember what it was back. I don't remember how far back it was, but now they have to start giving back everything from museums to the Native Americans. It's called, I can't remember, Reparations Act.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So I've talked to a few of our people around the nation. I go, what do you think about this Museum Act? And one person in Montana told me, he said, well, they want us to come and get this stuff, but we don't even know what to do with it. We don't know who it belongs to.
Right. And no one else can see it. Yeah, right.
So they are taking down, unless you're not paying attention, like we have been since it started, you're going to see the parallel. And I told the Italians when they invited us out for that Andre Dominio's meeting he had with the Italians. And we had already talked about this, and we already had sent them a letter to support him because we understood what was going on because of cancel culture. And like I told our board, I said, the only way we're going to combat this is if we stand together with other cultures. We have to form an alliance.
That's right.
And we got to get others to join us. And we're going to have to lead this thing because this is our country.
Yeah,
and we got to stop this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we got the invitation, I hate to fly. I don't like to fly, but I knew it was so close to the date for that. And I thought, I got to go out there. So my husband got a ticket. We flew out to Scranton, Pennsylvania. We took them up on their invitation. I was very well welcomed. I mean, I gave like a 20-minute speech about everything that's happened. And I told him, I said, I know what you folks are feeling. I know what you're going through. I said, what they're saying about Columbus, I've read Raphael's book and I believe him. Why would he want to lie? He's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And he actually comes from that Taino
right. Taino Indians. Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, some of his quotes in there, I said, this Howard Zinn. I never heard of Howard Zinn until I read his book. And then I start researching. We all started researching. We're finding out what Raphael is true.
Exactly. Right. Yeah,
so anyway, so I went out there and I gave him our support. And in Indian country, we always give a gift to show that we honor you.
Right.
I gave Andre Dominio a really nice star quilt from her I had made. And so we supported him. And so that's how we're starting the alliance. We have a alliance on our website, and it's got a 7th generation. We've always felt as Indians, whatever we do today is going to affect 7 generations forward. We want to make sure we do this right. So we're fighting like hell right now for our culture.
Yeah, you sure are. Yeah, absolutely. And you have on your website, and I'll have links to it, where other organizations can go and join up with yours. I think it's under 7th generation or something like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Person, we like to see as many people. I don't care if you're Italian or you're Black or you're Hispanic. We like to see as many people join that as much as we can. And of course, the money that they pay will go to our education. We're working on an education fund right now. We're working on some grants because we have to create our own, start from scratch, our server, and we got to create a program.
Yeah.
We had a big donor donate to us here a few years back, and she gave us a good lump of money to start this. So we did. And we traveled across the country and got videos from actual Indians themselves about this issue and about issues in Indian country and how we need to exploit what's going on with our people. It's not good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's amazing how they've taken something like the Redskins logo and in the Fighting Sioux logo, and I look at these images and I say to myself, well, this is to inspire us to go and
Right.
play to win or whatever it is, what sport you have. But to say that to warp it and to suggest that it's offensive is quite the feat, that they've done. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you have to think just like Columbus. Why was everything okay up until the
right.
70s?
Yes, right.
All of a sudden, it's all wrong.
It's all wrong, right?
Yeah. So, Crystal So, our vice president, she's Navajo, full blood Navajo, and she lives in Arizona. And I talk with her quite often. Of course, we meet each other every so often. But she always comes out and she talks about her children, how she wants her children to know their culture, the Navajo culture. She doesn't want them to ever forget it. But she said when now her daughters are growing up, she's got one that's moved on her own. She has another one that's going to graduate in a couple of years. She said when they get on their own and they get their own jobs, and if they move off the reservation, I want them to see that representation of our names and logos out there.
Right.
It's like that. Who else has that
Right.
to keep us going?
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah. Well, I was, it's, my brothers and I, we were all a lot of people were in the Boy Scouts, of course. And that was a big thing we learned was to survive in the woodlands and to take advantage of nature for your survival was all based upon Native American culture. Exactly what we learned. And you learned the traditions and every time you looked at the book, there was pictures of headdresses, of course, a number of things based upon the traditions. It just made you, it inspired you more to try and to do your best, whatever it is you were trying to do in that endeavor. So it's weird that now that's offensive. So it's
right. It is, and even the flag. We've been contacted by some people in Minnesota. They took away their flag.
Oh my God.
Took off their flag, had the symbols of an Indian on the top of the flag, and then they had the farmer on the bottom plowing the field. They took that out and they put up this star, and it's 8-point star. 8-point star. It's supposed to represent Somalia, not Somalia. What do you call that? The Muslim country or whatever.
Yeah. Or instead of reason to come there. Yeah. Well, you're right. You just can't stay silent. I tell everybody the same thing. No matter how small your organization is, you got to speak up and you got to defend yourself because they're not trying to just take away Columbus Day and images of your culture, or whatever. They want to take away it all. They're not going to stop until it all goes away, and then
Yeah, they want to change. They want to change America completely.
Yeah, right, exactly.
They wanted a one world order.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you always saw yourself as an American, correct? I mean,
yeah.
About yourself, yeah.
Definitely.
And that's you're proud to be an American, so that's kind of one reason why you want to be called, is that right, Native American versus, say, Indigenous, which doesn't really have a home per se.
American Indian.
American Indian, okay.
We are the North American Indians. That's what we are.
I see.
Even some of our elder leaders, like Russell Means, he testified to Congress back in the 80s. And he talks about our culture, and he says, he said, we are American Indians in our own country. He said, we can be anything we want to be, but we cannot be American Indians.
Interesting, yeah.
I can send you the link so you can hear his testimony.
Well, that's interesting because the narrative is the opposite. The narrative from the mainstream media is the opposite of that. So it's
right.
So interesting.
Yeah. So people are not hearing this. So when we got into the national media this last year, it was people were really surprised me. So far, I think our social media has built up to actually 48,000 people who have joined our website or our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And most probably about half of those are American Indians.
Amazing. Yeah. That's
so I really hope that the Italians will see as we see and what we're trying to do, and the only way we're going to stop this if we stand together and have a strong enough voice, and our vote means something.
Yes, it's a number. Politics is a numbers game. So the more people that can join our cause, the better it is for all of us. The more powerful we'll be.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, your leadership is really quite amazing, and your story out there in North Dakota is amazing as well. And it's so good to have both organizations working together for the future. And I'll have links to the Native American Guardians Association. And if you have any other links you want to send my way, please do so. I'll be happy to link them up for you. Yeah,
Okay.
and try to get more people to join this effort because I think it's very, very important.
That would be great. Yeah, it's very important. People
Well,
understand that.
great. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining with me today. And we have to fight the good fight and keep it up, I guess, until
Right.
we
I'm
win it
never
all.
going to give up. I'll go to my grave fighting this.
No, that's good. Good for you. I'm so glad we're on your team because you seem like
Thank you.
a real
We're with
fighter.
you guys too. So, all
Well,
right.
that's great. Well, thank you so
Okay.
much. I
You bet.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
you
much.
bet. Have
Bye-bye.
a good day.
You
Bye.
too. Thanks. Hi, folks. This is Truby Chiaviello with PRIMO Magazine, and I want to thank you for tuning in to our podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you like this episode, please press the like button and please share it with as many people as you can. And I want to thank you very much for tuning in.